pretty much everyone in North America is deficient in magnesium because of our soil requirements. A lot of people who are taking magnesium are looking at taking like threonate because it crosses the brain barrier. We've gotten so into computers and the internet and getting activated by social media and all these like things that aren't really threatening to the system but are creating a threat response.
If we don't test, we don't really have any understanding. You know, I wouldn't know that I run low on spermidine. I run a little bit off on HCl if I wasn't blood testing every quarter.
Some people can actually get stimulated from magnesium. We've had about 0.5% of the population, this is usually based on genetics, that it has the opposite effects. And those people, they might not have enough manganese.
There's a lot of expansion happening in the conversation around everything from like aliens to AI to social tech to our wearables to things like that. How do we get more magnesium in our system?
This is Willpower.
I mean, I'm excited on a lot of podcasts, but like what's so fun is that we were just chatting about how we want to just be chatting about the things that are like meaty and important to us and like as friends. And Wade Lightheart is here on the Willpower podcast. And it's like, he's been on the show before and like, what can we talk about that's going to really lean into what everybody's talking about today? And then I started asking him questions about this specific magnesium, which is my favorite on the planet, coming from Bioptimizers, and this new product launch. And in the middle of rapping about all of the discoveries that they've made, I was like, we have to hit record. And so now here we are. So Wade, here we are.
Yeah, it's always great to connect. It's so fun and, honored to be on the podcast, and you're doing such great work in the world. And it's so fun to watch you grow and develop and your influence continuing to spread. And I'm happy that we were there at the very start of this new version of yours, and you're going beyond and beyond and beyond, which is which is where we match, I think. You know, when we first got to connected, what I was able to recognize about you, which is really cool, is that, most people will kind of communicate on the surface, but you had a lot of depth and you were really committed to finding out the answers that nobody has the answers for, or to go into areas where no one's willing to go, or to take on challenges and then lead other people through them in an extraordinary way. And I really resonate with that. And it's very similar to the ethos at Bioptimizers, but I just want to acknowledge that for your listeners. It's really cool. And you're one of the true truths, and it's nice to always be on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I received that. And I've had a lot of fun with you over the years, whether it's conferences or dinners or anything, and being on panels. And some of my favorite rants ever at the conferences around the world that have been coming from you. Rants on the stage where you're like, let me tell you how it is, people. Because you bring a sense of heart and a sense of intelligence that like those two things don't always get evenly blended in people who are presenting. And also you're a great presenter, right? So it's like you can talk about science, and going all the way back to your early videos I used to watch. But it was just like great for me to get education from you. So yeah, it's amazing to watch your expansion. We just mentioned offline, I'll say it again, but like Happy Father's Day. It's like
Thank you.
A big part of your expansion is your family. So it's really lovely to see.
Yeah, being dad's awesome. I love it. So it's a whole adventure on its own. And it's great because, for our listeners, I think that when you have a young child, and of course I'm having a young child at a much older age than say most people, it's a big advantage in that, one, I still have my health and vitality, so I can still get on the floor and roll around and play around with my son. But second, I'm not trying to figure out my life. I'm got things squared away. There's a lot of, I have so much respect for people in their 20s and 30s, and you have a kid, like mad respect, because I just wasn't up for the task in those years. And now I'm in my 50s and I can do it. But setting up the foundational elements of my child's nutrition and being able to make all the right moves early on in that developmental stage, which is so critical with brain development and neuronal development and sense of self. And so my wife, who is taking her PhD in psychology, we're kind of teaming up on, to try and how can we optimize our child for the world that I will have no idea how to understand with all this AI stuff, but everything's like, well, things are blowing up in ways that I can't imagine, but I can teach him the human side of things and how to be healthy, how to be happy, how to self-regulate. And I think those things never go away. And in today's world, it's so critical. You're really teaching controlled stress response in order to improve your self-regulation ability. We've gotten so into computers and the internet and getting activated by social media and all these like things that aren't really threatening to the system, but are creating a threat response. But we haven't earned the capacity to handle the threat through stimulating the nervous system and providing the elements to that nervous system so that it can respond to really serious situations. Yeah. And I think it's starting to change the corner, and you're leading the edge on this, is taking people out of the observer, the voyeur of life, and putting them into the participant. You know what? Stop what you're doing right now. Let's just jump in some cold ice water. And like all of a sudden your social media concerns drop away very quickly in those few minutes.
Yeah. And from understanding the basis of there is no tiger, which is still something we have trouble understanding on a regular basis. Like I have a lot of my clients being like, okay, let's sit down and do like 2 minutes of breathing and just like remind ourselves there is no tiger, the micro stressor of this. And then deciding when, having some deliberate practice of saying, okay, there's going to be a tiger. Like, but the best thing you can do is like be at home with someone in an ice bath, and as the ice bath example in your backyard, right? And be like, just like, okay, on Monday, it's your job to just say, we're going in the ice bath now. Like, like deliberate cold exposure with a little bit of a titration of more stress, and then putting yourself in it and stretching it. And I'm sure there's so many ways that you're doing that with your son, especially, with the two of you, because it's like, can you imagine if we had these, I mean, everyone's parents were doing the best they can, and we're all learning as we grow through time. And, of course we have this understanding because you and I are a bit older and all that, but I wish that I had some of these things when I was 5, when my mom would be like, hey, let's regulate ourselves. Like it didn't exist. She did a great job, but what a beautiful gift you get to give your son and yourself to watch it unfold.
It's fun. And, I'm going to make mistakes like everybody else. You do the best that you can. But it's fun, because, the whole ethos behind Bioptimizers is how do you optimize humans? And that's where optimizer came out of, like optimizing biology. And, I built a formula on the awesome formula of like, what are the things the cell needs? And we talked about air, water, exercise, sunlight, optimizers, mental beliefs and attitudes, education, testing, coaching, kind of as a overarching framework that wasn't supplement based. We give that away, by the way. And then Matt and I, who were both in kind of extreme sports, he was in, like MMA stuff, and I'm doing, down the bodybuilding channel, which is maximization. But the cool thing about that is you're trying to overcome genetic tendencies or genetic patterns. And from that, you have to get into what we call biohacking nowadays.
And just as a label for anyone who's listening and hasn't gone back, which if you haven't, you should go back and listen to Wade's episodes. It's one of the earlier episodes of this show, now that I'm 160 episodes in. And it tells about his story that you were in the natural bodybuilding world. So you were really trying to optimize every thread possible, correct?
Yeah. And, you run into a whole set of biological problems. And so Matt and I would constantly work on how do you overcome this? And then whether it was diet strategy, or if it was nervous system, or if it was minerals, or if it was essential fatty acids, or if it was neurotransmitters, we would continue to push the limit, blow the machine apart, and then figure out that. And then eventually we started a company because we found that there were a couple of challenges in the nutrition industry per se. And one thing I noticed is there was all these foundational stories. In other words, somebody had a problem. The great companies are the same. Somebody had a problem. They couldn't get the answer. They couldn't get the right product. They couldn't get the right ingredients. They couldn't get the right formulation. They went on some quest, figured it out, started selling it to their friends, and built a company. The second thing is you'd see the rise of companies on a very fast level, oftentimes big money, built on a mishmash of maybes or trends, all focused on margin. Okay, these kind of product-centered products. And then if you talk to any formulator or supplement company, if you just take aside all the stuff and you sat them down and said, can you build the product that you really want? And they'd say, no, the market won't bear the price. And so what we determined, Matt and I, early on, is like, we weren't going to compromise the products. We were going to build them for ourselves. And if nobody bought them, we didn't care. We just wanted to figure out how to optimize ourselves.
Yeah.
And then, over the years, we had a few of these products that kind of caught cult-like status, whether it was Masszymes or Probiotic Breakthrough or our magnesium product, because we were on the top end of the formulation side. You know, we have a lab in Bosnia that I think we just got the data. They've done over 78,000 experiments in the last number of years on, does the product get into the cell? Does it cross? Which ingredient? Like we've done so many different experiments. It's like 78,000. I can't.
So many.
There's one thing behind all of those experiments. How do we get the best possible effect possible? Is it multiple ingredients? Is it less ingredients? Is it precursors? Is it delivery agents? How do we take out contaminants? How do we take out things that are bad for like all of these problems that are innate to the supplement industry per se, with every supplement company? We just continually reinvest time, effort, energy, money, and resources into optimizing it. And then we turn a product out and it's like, yeah, we've come to the conclusion that we've made a superior product here. And let's see if the market wants to buy it or not. That's kind of how it works.
This is so important because, like, for anyone who's listening to, it's like there's so much that goes into working and leaning into crafting a supplement that's like about the sourcing, that's about the testing, and about the big conversation I hear a lot in the biohacking sphere and the wellness sphere is also now there's lots of conversations around like, well, I've been taking this thing, it's X supplement. And actually the science or what we're seeing is you put NAD, for example, in your system, and it's like, oh, is it actually getting into the cell and doing the work it needs to do? Or is it like actually the precursor? So the precursor just meaning, correct me if I do this in a overly simple way, but the precursor is the thing that's potentiating that actual molecule that you want in the body. So like the precursor is the building block of that molecule. And then we take that, then the body can actually make it more efficiently. There's just a lot of conversation around this because we don't know. I mean, we're learning over time, but there's a lot of companies that would report, oh, nope, it's just got to be, you know, you're going to take this specific solution or this molecule, but like depending on what the body's functions are or the pathways to get to utilize that molecule, perhaps you don't uptake it. So you have to take the precursor. So like there's so many details, and this is why I love the work you guys are doing and watching you iterate and watching you innovate, because I've watched you change formulas over the years, like improve them over the years. It's why it's so important, because like people will continue, and many listeners here, it's like they're like buying what's the cheapest thing on Amazon. Now, I'm not saying that all bad brands are on Amazon. I can get you on Amazon if I really wanted to, although you should buy it through Biohacking website with my code. But it's still knowing you're getting what you're getting, right? And then also, but they're price conscious or they don't know what they're looking for. And it's like finding names. And this is why the brands and people like you I work with and I bring on the show, finding names of people who give a shit 100x more than most companies would. Because there's so many people just like throwing in some ingredients, throwing in some filler. I don't think people understand this either, right? There's so much filler in a lot of products. There's a lot of angel dusting where they say it's a thing, but they have like 3 granules in it of it because it's not required in some cases on the label. And you all have had to navigate that. Did you know you were going to have to navigate every single one of these like legal labeling, all these confines when you first got in? And you're just...
Well, the good news was I was from Canada, and Canada has a massively regulated industry. And so I cut my teeth.
They're more regulated, no?
Market. Yeah, it's way more regulated. It's actually one of the most difficult countries to do business in that I deal with. We have international distributors all over the world because of all these countries we sell over. Canada, which I'm from, is one of the worst places. So I went in full eyes open onto that, and because I literally been in the industry since I was a teenager and worked on every single facet. So that's the two versions. There's the, hey, we can build the best product that we can possibly build, a price that the market will bear, or we will just build a product that follows on trends, doesn't care about that stuff, works on margins, blow it out, get some investor money into it, scale it up, do whatever, sell at a loss for a while till we get market traction, all that stuff. So there was like a whole industry of start a supplement company, for Pete's sakes. Like it was just, I actually had to end a couple of friendships on that, as I had some just internet marketers come in and they're like, yeah, we're going to start a supplement company. I'm like, what? Dude, I said, I love you, man, but like, what do you know about supplements? Like guys that like, oh, it says it does this. I'm like, oh man, it's like Dunning-Kruger bias to the max, right? And I said, listen, I have to overcome all of that because the cost of advertising, for example, builds in all of the scammers or the ignoramuses, as well as the good companies, that they're all bidding for the keywords. They're all getting the points on there. And the lower that your cost of ingredient is, the more marketing dollars that you have to convince people. And that's the industry as it is. And so we just made it really simple. Build the best product that we can using breakthrough science that we can prove in a lab. You know, if you don't feel the difference, just give you your money back. You get a whole year for that. And with that, we have a real customer service with real people that answer the telephone and say, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. They don't say it with the perfect accent. They don't say it with the perfect language, and they don't say the AI stuff. But you know what? It's a real person that's going to solve your problem and cares about you. I can say that we have, I think, the lowest refund rates of anybody I know in the industry, and I know pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, now Bioptimize has become a kind of a big time brand. We just announced a partnership with Jay Shetty recently. He's so generous. We were at a pickleball tournament and we were down there all day. He spent time with every single person at that event and was as if they were best friends forever. That was really impressive.
Yeah, and those things are important, and you guys are so global. And when I go to Sprouts and I see you on the shelves, and it's like, because I remember the days that I could only get it online, and that's, you know, I'm sure a very important channel, but it's just nice to be able to know that there's grab and go capacity, that when moms are shopping, they can pick things up. And I'm diehard for so many of the supplements you guys make, and I want to talk about this new magnesium, which is like the exciting launch of this new magnesium. But I have a solo sode on the importance of magnesium in general, and I just like 2 days ago was in like a ceremony space celebrating someone's birthday and just having like a big reverent, you know, celebration of life for him and all of that. And they were serving a mixed bag of food. I kind of have an iron stomach for the most part, but I'm always taking masszymes and this and that, and I run sometimes a little low on HCl, but I was like, mixed bag of fruits and things and gluten-free pizzas and just kind of, you know, knickknacks of eating. And I was like, had a moment where I was like, oof, my belly's like not great. And then like, I just know I can go and take a couple masszymes and an HCl. And like 20 minutes later, I'm like, fine. Like, it's just like helping the process. And again, this isn't like for acute moments only, right? We've talked in the past, and I think it's important to talk to you about some of the products, especially with my athletes using HCl, using masszymes, using the probiotics to actually just help the gut get itself in check, because they're doing so much work on their bodies and getting all the protein absorption possible. So there's just, the list is so endless, and the research and the work that you guys are doing and the ways you put things together. And just, I also, you know, for anyone who's listening, and just to say this out loud to you, just like, you guys have been tried and true. Like you're just like so consistent, and you're like, okay, well, this thing, we didn't like this label, we changed this, or we're going to shift this a formula. But like, it's never, you've never made mistakes. You've just continually improved, and you've just like been there and been there and been there. And I'm like so appreciative to have the whole line extension. You guys figured out the solutions you needed for you. And then I think you went and were like, what other solutions does the world need? Because you don't need them all. And then you figured out solutions for people in the world. Yeah.
We've been looking at how do you create magnesium? What are the bonding agents? So when you see all these eights at the end, hecalate, what the hecalate, I always say, you know, like this is really how the magnesium's bonded, and then how it's absorbed and utilized in the body. And we believe, we don't have definitive proof, that different magnesiums get uptaken by different parts of the body.
So you mean like YT8, taurate, all the ways that it's bonded?
Exactly. So when you see all these magnesiums, and for the last 4 years, we've kind of owned the market with Magnesium Breakthrough. It's 7 different magnesiums. Basically, it's the most value-added magnesium you could get in the market. Basically, it covers all of your bases. It's like buying the whole store shelf, putting it in one bottle, and you get it all, and in the right ratios and the right amounts. And thanks to our lab team, we did all that work.
Put it together, right? That was the challenge before.
Well, they did. We got 10 PhDs. We got 10 PhDs in a lab in Bosnia with a bunch of machines.
Together that you could have 7 in one. Otherwise, that's the thing. Like, I had 7. I didn't have 7, but I had 4 different bottles of magnesium, and I'm like taking each one. And then you guys came out. It's like, no wonder it's your number 1 SKU, and that SKU is staying on the shelf. So the new formula is another extension for people who are really going to lean into magnesium, and you're going to tell them why.
We wanted to get like a deeper nervous system sense. And the challenge with that was you got to optimize the magnesium amount. You run into flow regulator issues, and then you've got, you know, what magnesiums are you going to use and what amounts, because if you take too much of any single one, you get the runs. So anyways, we've been working on this for a long time. And we came up with 10 magnesiums. We got a new formula, 10 magnesiums. It's going to be a higher price point. So it's not, it's for the people that are kind of wired like us. Like, I just want the best of ever. Like, I don't care. I'm price insensitive. So it doesn't mean that magnesium breakthrough goes away. It's just magnesium breakthrough gold. So magnesium breakthrough, it's still there, it's still available, still does the work. This is for the people who are just like, you know what, I want to go to the next level, like, you know, for whatever, just one of us, you know, that's kind of that sort of thing. So we are launching that.
Physical performance, stress, navigation, like this is the biggest thing when it comes to nervous system regulation.
And one of the cool things about this, I have to say, is it was also born out of because we are launching in Whole Foods, which was a long time dream of mine because I ate at Whole Foods for 20 years in their salad bar. I've traveled around the world. I know Whole Foods, like any city, I know where the Whole Foods is because I go there after I land in the airport and have my salad every day at Whole Foods. And so they want to do something special with us. And I'm like, well, we have this really crazy product that's really good that you'd like want to. And they were so excited, like, let's do it. So we're launching in partnership with those guys, which is nice. So a lot of traction with Whole Foods. Of course, everybody knows this is Sprouts. And now we're in Vitamin Shop. Now we're in, you know, of course, Amazon with all the podcasts. And then now this new breakthrough, Magnesium Breakthrough Advanced. So without getting into, you know, super crazy, gritty, scientific, you know, woohoo details, it's got 3 more magnesiums. Yeah. And it will take you a little bit deeper into your rest. I'm pretty tuned into my physiology and psychology. And I felt that it boosted my sleep probably 15% over Magnesium Breakthrough. I would say 15.
Nice.
Yeah, it was, but 15 at this level is a lot.
That's when you're already like optimized. Yeah, it's great. Magnesium Breakthrough. I love the name of this product from Bioptimizers. Now, Bioptimizers has been supporting this show since the launch of Wellpower. So that's also the code. When you go to Bioptimizers, you can get Magnesium Breakthrough or any of their supplements you can add to the cart. You've heard me talk about many. And also the solo sode I have on magnesium and its importance in human optimization. You can go and check out that episode if you want more insight. But Bioptimizers has made a full spectrum magnesium formula. It is their #1 seller for a reason. And inside this Magnesium Breakthrough, all of the 7 types of magnesium they use are helping you with digestion, glucose levels, carbohydrate utilization, calming your muscles, pushing you through recovery faster than ever before, promoting restful sleep, and balancing your stress response, so de-stressing your body. Magnesium is such an important supplement, and I want you to check out the Bioptimizers brand of Magnesium Breakthrough. Use code WELLPOWER. Save 10% or more when you put it in your cart, anything you get from Bioptimizers, and support the show, support them, and support, most importantly, your body's overall well-being. What are the 3 new magnesiums that are going into the mix?
The difference between the two is basically what gets into the centralized nervous system that regulates GABA. Yeah. So if you get into like your nervous system, there's 2 cycles. Like some people can actually get stimulated from magnesium. We've had about 0.5% of the population, and this is usually based on genetics, that it has the opposite effects. And those people, they might not have enough manganese. Yeah. Right. So you add manganese in to offset any overregulation on magnesium. But there's about 0.5% of the population that gets stimulated from magnesium. They're not.
Yeah. So a very, very small percent. But it's like, this is the anomaly of why it's like an N of 1 experiment for every single one of our companies.
Exactly. The other thing is when you go to neurotransmitters, and I got one of these like neurotransmitter, I'm just actually doing another neurotransmitter test here.
Cool.
So when you go dealing with sleep, particularly GABA, and gamma formulation in magnesium. Mm-hmm. And so there's not one single magnesium that is going to boost GABA, but there are different ones that do enhance GABA. And that seems to be the one that for some people would be a stimulus, and for other people will deepen the sleep. That's the difference between the two. So GABA is that kind of almost dreamy state between waking and, you know, GABA drinks are becoming very popular for people to kind of chill out and relax.
Yeah, like stressing less. And then also when I work with clients and I give them anything that's potentiate, or like even with some of the stuff you guys have formulated in the past around GABA GABAlicious, even from Utopia, all of those things.
Yeah.
There were like an opportunity for clients who are navigating some rumination, like the nighttime thinking and thinking and thinking. So like, this is why I think is such a great import to work the combination of magnesiums into the system, is because as things are getting more heightened in our lives and the expansion of the world that we live in and consciousness and everything, right? Not to go woo, but like, this is what's happening. There's a lot of expansion happening in the conversation around everything from like aliens to AI to, you know, social tech to our wearables to things like that. How do we get more magnesium in our system so that we can, quell the stress, but also like stop some of the rumination, or though maybe I would even call it worry, you know, because of that, I find that GABA really helps. The feedback I get from clients always is like weaving those things in, like your sleep breakthrough. People are like, okay, this changes the game to mix that with magnesium.
That's stack I like particularly. I take 2 scoops of sleep breakthrough and then 2 scoops of magnesium. Although recently I dropped sleep breakthrough completely and just have been using Mag 10, which is as an experiment because I didn't want a distortion of the two. You know, so it always comes down to
the Mag 10 is the gold version. That's the one that has 10 in it. Yeah.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah, Mag Gold. And I'm getting the same sleep I was getting on with Sleep Breakthrough with the Mag Gold.
That's cool.
Now, I've been doing that experiment for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I get these products before everybody else.
I know, we're still waiting.
It's so weird. It's so weird. This is where I get so confused sometimes, because if you see my house, I am getting sample after sample after samples shipped to me, and we test them. Like I'm literally running experiments on myself. So you ask me a question, which one I'm using? I'm like, okay, which ones was it that I got to put in here? Because I've got this version, this amount of this version, this amount of this version. It gets a little
all
crazy.
the versions on the way to the gold.
And then I cut it. So then like I cut, when I deal with like I've been doing with this one, I cut out all of the other elements, like taking sleep breakthrough, and like, okay, let's just do it on its own. What is the physiological effect? And what I can say without question is deeper sleep and a deeper resistance to caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
So people who really like their caffeine, but find themselves a little bit stimmy on it or a little bit edgy. Mm-hmm. I happen to be one of those people. I enjoy caffeine. I have like a love relationship with it. I like when I'm off. I go off caffeine usually for several months of the year, like 3 months of the year. I'll go off it completely, usually as a precursor to our brain training. And then I stay off it for a while, and then I go out with a friend and I get on coffee, and then I'm back on, you know, it's once a week, and then it's like it's every day. It's like on the caffeine turn. So I get so super stimulated by it. What I can say is I've been able to regulate off caffeine so easily with Mag Gold. It's awesome for that. So there is a deeper nervous system element to it. Mm-hmm. That's really nice. So, you know, for people who want to try that, just give it a shot and see what they think. I'd love to hear the feedback, because, you know, we've done the experiment in the lab. We've done the experiment with our team, but the extended market is going to be the part that gets me excited, because I want to know how it impacts everybody, because everybody has a different version of things. So far, though, everybody I know that's loved Magnesium Breakthrough, and they're all eating Mag Gold.
Like eating it up. It's great. Well, I mean, I'll be an avid jumping into the, you know, this is what we do as biohackers and wellness optimizers, but I also think it's important to talk about some of the big pieces of, just to like mention magnesium. Like people will say to me, and I was telling you, I was just working with this professional dance crew on a world tour, prepping them for in their rehearsal period. And some people don't want to take, like we do, 20, 40 supplements a day, whatever it is. And that's because of budget, or just because like so many pills, or whatever the story is. But when people ask me, like, do you have a couple desert island supplements? Like, I always have a must-have. I categorize supplements in must-have, nice-to-have, and last 10%. And I think if it's not number one, it's number two. But like, this is a desert island supplement. It's like, if I have to take something with me, I have to take magnesium, because it's responsible for over like 300 to cofactor and over 300 mechanisms of the body of things that it's producing and making and working on. And I think that there's a couple parts of this, which is frequency of dose, because there's a lot of great stuff you guys did in the early days about having like cycling some higher dose or more magnesium in general to get the body kind of up to snuff. So frequency of dose and understanding magnesium. And then maybe you could talk about just the benefits, like the big 3 benefits that you think people will see from weaving it into the system, because I feel different when I'm taking it.
Here's the thing. Pretty much everyone in North America is deficient in magnesium because of our soil requirements. We talked about that in the past. A lot of people who are taking magnesium are looking at taking like threonate because it crosses the brain barrier. The problem with that is it's a patented product, and the people who sell it, you can't put sufficient dosage of other magnesiums along with it. That's a whole other thing. But what we found is if you can do things like BHB, magnesium BHB, magnesium caprolate, these elements in combination with the other magnesiums like, or orotate and citrate and taurate and malate and sucrosulmyl, which is a glycolipid, and glycinate, and then you add a little bit of aspartate into that. If you do that combination, then your body gets that deeper sense of central nervous system stimulation, the GABA response, which creates the deeper sleep. And at the end of the day, if you can get a deeper sleep, and that's increasing your deep sleep time, that's the biggest benefit, I think, overall. Now, people who have blood sugar regulation issues, oftentimes you can trace the enzymes that handle that is to magnesium. If you are taking in excess calcium, oftentimes that causes the dumping of the magnesium because it exists in a 2-to-1 ratio. This is a really big issue for people who are going through menopause. And we've seen bone density for women drop off. And, that's why women need to work out. That's why they need weight bearing. And we worked some stuff with OsteoStrong. They were able to reverse this through high density training. Like they built a program where they can increase bone density virtually any age. And magnesium is a key element to that element. And people think of calcium, but you need the magnesium to match it. Yeah. The other thing is we have a mental health crisis. And if you look at the mental health crisis, the neurotransmitters like serotonin are 95% of it's created in the gut. Magnesium is a key element in that formation. And when you introduce these different magnesiums that we put in our product into the gut and watch what happens in the microbiome, we can actually see that the bacteria start producing things they weren't producing before. They produce more neurotransmitters. They produce different antioxidants. So when you talk about the 300 plus elements, when you have a deficiency in one element, your body will try to get 2nd and 3rd grade elements to it, but it never addresses that. And I think that you carry over these deficiencies into other areas, and over time, you eventually run the tank dry.
Yeah.
And when people start filling up their magnesium bucket, as I like to say, through systematic sequential supplementation over time, and I always say they take, for the easy ways, take a couple capsules before bed. If you want to really upright, you're really struggling with your sleep, or you're really struggling because you're really stressed out, or you just can't seem to handle any kind of stimulation on the chemicals, whether it's caffeine or whatever, or you've been through coming off. Maybe you came out of the party world. Maybe you came off some addiction behaviors, or a lot of drinking, or a lot of drugging, or, that type of stuff. Hey, this is where, divided dosages of magnesium can really help, because it will help feed those bacteria cultures that make the neurotransmitters that make you feel healthy and kind of reduce some of the down and the dark days that happen. And so I have so many people reporting on that side of the equation. And I know that's kind of related to a lot of the work that you do. And it's a really cool business to be in. And we read all the testimonials out for people. And I've been doing this industry my whole life, and I've never seen such a wide variety of testimonials for magnesium. And I think that magnesium gold is going to be even the next level. It's just a fundamental deficiency issue and how it's involved in so many things.
Yeah, and a regulation, anything that's going to support nervous system regulation, right? This ability to be like nervous system, like arousal flexibility is what myself and my mentor would probably call it, which is like the ability to like be flexible with the level of arousal that we have to have for the action that needs to happen in that moment. And then to go back to a baseline that feels like, okay, self-love and understanding, and like, okay, lower stress and all of that. I mean, I'm like you, and I get that we're optimizing all the things we can. And like, we've definitely, I'm sure that you've had a few fails as I have. Like, I've tried some things in supplements or whatever, peptide world, whatever it might be, where I'm like, well, that was a hard no for me, but I learned. But the things just supplementing, there's definitely a faction of people in the world, and maybe some of people are listening now that are like, like supplements, they really do anything. You're only absorbing 20% of them, or like, well, not if you're taking like mass times and HCl, you're going to get more, or if it's well sourced and all the things that you guys really focus in on. There are times that I'm having a rough and tumble day, or I'm like having like I told you that simple example of the bellyache, or I just will be like, there's a stack for this. And I will go into my little cabinet and I'll take a few things and I will just be like, okay, I'm going to take these and they're going to make me feel better. And I have that knowing and I take them. And I've been on supplements for 20 plus years in my life. And I feel like they're so elemental. I understand people are on budgets, and so they navigate what they need most importantly. And I think prime example, you're like, I'm taking a neurotransmitter test, right? So if we don't test, we don't really have any understanding. You know, I wouldn't know that I run low on spermidine. I run a little bit off on HCl if I wasn't blood testing every quarter. And so people making sure they're having some of these tests, which are more easily accessible now, feels like paramount to me. I think that, what do you say to the people who are naysayers on supplementation? Do you have those people show up and say, don't take supplements? Who needs them?
Yeah. Well, first off, the assumption is that you can get everything you can from a diet, which was a moniker thrown out by the medical agencies by doctors who had no background in nutrition. So caveat emptor, pay attention to where you're getting your advice from. Second, every single person that I've ever met who has a robust level of vitality and health, and I would say that is performing and operating and aging at a different rate than the general population, every single one of those people takes supplements. Every single one. Every single one of those people exercise regularly. Every single one of those people has some sort of breath practice and mindfulness practice. So what I look at is you want to stack the deck in your favor. Now, the cool thing is like I took like 30, 40 years to figure out some of these things. You can figure this out with a practitioner in 30 or 40 minutes. You get a genetic test, you get a blood draw, right? You do maybe a stool test, and you know what? Maybe there's a couple little, a DEXA scan, right?
You're on your way.
And all of a sudden, they're going to tell you, yeah, this type of diet is better for you than this type of diet. And you're going to have trouble absorbing these type of elements over these type of elements. And so you now construct both a diet and a supplementation program that supports you. And you can get down to that individual. So everybody goes, well, everybody's different. That's like another moniker. Yes. How are you different? That's the question. How am I different? Because once you understand how you are different through testing, then you can address the dietary and supplementation issues. And I guarantee that you will go through that process, and you will, with whatever practitioner that you deal with, there's going to be some best daily practices that you're going to find. And those are going to involve those things like breathing, exercise, hydration, sunlight, all very inexpensive. And then you're going to get into the optimizers aspect, right? And that's essential amino acids, essential fatty acids, essential minerals, essential vitamins, herbs that move chi in the body to different nervous system groups. That's what you're going to need. And when it comes to minerals, there's nothing better than magnesium. Like, it is the king of the minerals, largely in part because it's really hard to get all that you need in the diet. The other thing is we live in an environment with EMF pollution nowadays. It's so extensive. I believe, and I have evidence to support this, you can listen to the EMF guy, it's actually draining our magnesium reserves. In other words, we need more magnesium to be subjected. And I just moved from Sedona, Arizona, out of Los Angeles, and I was in a high EMF zone. And I went over here. Wow, I couldn't believe the difference. Just to give you an example, I used to go to bed at around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at night. I now go to bed at 8 o'clock.
Wow.
Just from the light pollution and the senses. And I used to get up at, say, 6 o'clock. Now I get up at 4, right? So I'm getting deeper, longer sleep, more restful. So that environment that you're in is also a factor in these tests. So what environment are you going to, and don't get me wrong, I love living in LA. I love living in Sedona. I'm going to Vancouver. It's another higher EMF place in the big city. I'm just going to adapt to that environment, and it's not about living the most restricted lifestyle and brown bagging your life and just, everything's a toxin and stuff. It's about, hey, here's what I want to do. Here's what I'm going to go. And the more stress you put on the system, the more that you want to perform, the more you are going to rely on supplementation, specialized devices and processes so that you can get more out of your life by optimizing your biology. And that's our foundational thinking. We wrote books on it, courses, videos, everything. That's really the
You guys have
etymology.
so much beautiful education. It's so lovely.
Yeah.
I love spending this time with you. So Magnesium Gold, it's coming out. Add it to your stack. I can hardly wait. I haven't even tried it yet because I'm cutting edge. We're breaking the news right here, right now. I want to just ask you for a short form feedback on 3 areas. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, let's hit it.
Okay, cool. The first one is aliens. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What are we thinking about aliens? Are they coming? Are they here? There's so much interesting documentaries out. Like, what's the vibe?
I was in Bosnia and I went out to a set of pyramids outside of Bosnia. It's about 30 minutes out of the city that were built 25,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there's caves underneath it. And you wonder, and there's like things that clean the air or make everything go. And there was a thing that you touch and there's some kind of crazy electric current coming off it that's really legit. And they're still digging out these undergrounds and stuff. So I would suspect, and if you go back to your stories, that yes, there are other entities. Are they interdimensionary? Are they part of the stuff? I think it's a whole big universe and there's a whole lot more going on than what we think.
Yeah, the pyramids are really interesting. Someone was sharing a thing about how designed by as the sun is coming up, there's a pyramid. I think it's the snake goes up the stick. And I'm like, how?
Oh yeah, that's Chichen Itza. I've been there on that.
Oh yeah, that's the South America.
Yeah, in Mexico.
And just how so many years ago, how we had that technology, in what way, et cetera. So that's so interesting to me. Yeah.
So I think the original genesis, if you go back to Mesopotamia, that humans were fused.
Yeah.
Right. There's good evidence on the genetic side that we are a hybrid.
I wanted to take a moment to share something deeply personal. I have gone through a big transformation in the last few years of my life and really had this beautiful opportunity to lean into psychedelic therapy. And you might be noticing on this show that I'm bringing a few more guests and scientists and prolific thinkers and people who are deeply rooted in this industry, in this landscape, because I want you to be able to be highly informed about how important this work is as it begins to get more popularized, as we begin to have this psychedelic renaissance, if you will. And you might be listening to this show or sitting here right now, navigating some fear or insecurity or wondering how you can rewire these patterns, these stories that you've had since you were younger or based on something that may have happened to you in your life. And I want to put an offering on the table as I crack the door and begin to speak more publicly about doing this work. The Inner Quest program is a private program that I designed. It's a high-touch container. I work one-on-one, and I work with couples. Even though I've been holding group ceremonies, the most massive transformation that I see and get and understand is when I'm able to work with someone so closely and share so much love and unpack all of the fear that this life can bring, to see them on the other side. It's not about chasing calm. It's not about having a peak experience. It's really about building nervous system capacity to hold your entire life, your truth, your relationships, your next chapter, because there's so much coming for you. So much coming for you. I can just feel that. And when I get to do this work with people and see them open up the door on the biggest dreams of their life coming true, it melts my heart. And it's so possible for you. And I say that in a deep, deep way because it's been possible for me to get through some of the most challenging times of my life in the last couple of years. So I've done this work personally, and now I'm bringing it to the world professionally. And over the last year, it's been such a groundswell of positive outcomes that I really wanted to share it with you here, that I'm, again, cracking the door to let you know you are not left alone with just your insight. You are here to do the biggest, most amazing things. And I want to help you translate your dreams into action. This work is personal, it's intentional, I deeply support you. And if it's something that feels like I'm ready for this, I've been thinking about this, I've been reading about this, I've been feeling into it, if you're just ready, I'd love for you to email me so we can have a conversation about what's the best way to work with a practitioner in this way, the kind of work that I do, where you're at in your life, and really make a decision with care. So the offer's on the table. You can email me directly at Kristin@wellpower.life. That's Kristin@wellpower.life. And tell me what's calling you forward, because I'm here to help you with your inner quest. I'm going to have to crack the doors on psychedelics this year a bit on the podcast, and I cracked them. I have a very close friend of mine who's been researching like just alien UAP and all that. He's not famous, but he's like the biggest wealth of knowledge, and I'm like going to have to go to do like an Aliens 101, I think. It's just time. I don't know. People are going to stop listening to the podcast maybe, but I'm curious. Let's be curious together. That brings me to the second quick category, which is how are you feeling about the psychedelic renaissance?
I think it's great because we're addressing it from a healing modality. And I think the scientific community is beginning to embrace it. And that's a good thing, because at the end of the day, when you're using these different medicines and stuff like that, quality of the practitioner, validation of the process, and being able to repeat this, who's it for, who's it's not for, to create a safe environment. And I think overall, it's a net positive on a really great level. I think it's great. There's always going to be some missteps along the way, but it's worth it in the big picture.
And then last but certainly not least, this ever prevalent iteration of our expansion, artificial intelligence. What do we look like in 5 years?
That's a big topic. And it was the subject of I was sitting with a few gentlemen in Austin, Texas a few weeks ago. And that was the debate. And on one side of the fence was the team human folks, and the other people were the team AI. What I would say, it is the biggest implication to human events since electricity. And I have no idea where it's going. There are some things that I think are really awesome about the automation side of it. I think there's some very things that could go very sideways based like on autonomous weapons use with AI. And then, of course, at the foundation of who gets the energy. At some point, AI and humans are going to be, supporting, like competing for energy, kind of like the Matrix. And I don't know how that plays out. So I do have some concerns about it. And at the end of the day, I don't get to make the decision, because that's being made by a very select group of people at a very high end who are very funded, and I don't get much say in the matter of whether it's good or bad. It's coming.
I hear that. It's so beautiful to spend time with you. I just wanted to pick your brain because you're so smart and really well researched on a lot of these things, and your experience. You've been right in the past about a lot of things in your experience, so you heard it here first. I'm Wade Lightheart. Anything you want to share with us as you close? Words of wisdom, and absolutely, of course, at bioptimizers.com, people can come and find you. It's so exciting that Magnesium Gold's going to be in Whole Foods. Will that be its initial release? Will go to Whole Foods first?
I guess my final words would be, when I was a young boy, I dreamed and held a vision for my life, and all of those things came true. And, talking about the Whole Foods thing is a great example. I used to go to Whole Foods every time and pay exorbitant prices for these salads every day. And I used to have my meetings at Whole Food, and I'd invite my friends, and I'd travel, and I had groups of people. Like I took so many people into the Whole Food store, and people said, like, how much money did you spend in Whole Foods? And I probably spent more money there than any single business in the world. And I laughed about it because I said, I'm not spending money at Whole Foods. I'm making a karmic deposit that they'll eventually bring my products into their company. So I didn't know I was going to have to buy salads for 25 years. But I did. Why am I telling you that? Look, if you have a dream, if you have a vision, if you have something that's right for your soul, pursue it no matter what. It doesn't matter if you actually achieve the full version of whatever you think it is. The journey of going towards it, the sense of purpose, the sense of feeling good about your life, the people that you meet that are like-minded, the challenges that you will overcome. It's a great adventure. And I think so many people just lose that vision or lose that dream or get it kind of edited out for some reason. Society kind of does it. And I'm like, follow your dreams and be like a little kid. And you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know everything perfect. You just follow that dream, and then you get the people and places and things and systems that you need that will fulfill you. It's kind of like a little novel. It's like a little book. It's like an adventure. And why not make life an adventure? And you're like, the end is certain. Like the end's certain. We don't know what happens after that exactly, but that's certain. So why not enjoy the ride while we're here? and go on the adventure of a lifetime. And you just might be surprised that your dreams come true. Treat yourself like a small child. How would you encourage your child? Encourage yourself the same way. If you can do that, you're going to do all right in life.
Yeah, I love that, Wade. And I love you so dearly. And I'm so excited for you on this journey of being a father and like all the expansion that's happening. And congratulations, like on the letting that sink in, 25 years of salads. And so that now this magical thing can happen where it's showing up on some of the most important shelves in the world. So yeah, I'm really thrilled about that for you, for the whole team at Bioptimizers. And the one thing I would also say too, and I don't really have any understanding of what kind of turnover you have on your team, but like for many, many years, I've known many, many of the people that have worked for you, and you're second to none in so many ways, with the ways that you pull people together, that like the way that you care, the way that you show up, the way that everybody wants to cheer each other on and call each other out and in, and, you know, create the biggest and best version of not just the supplements, but like the people, you know, the culture that you guys continue to craft and curate for both internally and externally. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, well, we're going to tag show notes and stories and all of the things with you so people can find you and blow you up on your phone, which happens all the time. And I appreciate you being here today and sharing the story of Magnesium Gold and the Bioptimizer's journey. Yes, thank you for joining us here on Well Power. You can submit questions, learn more, shop incredible brands, and connect with me at wellpower.life, or follow me on social at biohacking.breath.cold. From comfort to courage, friends, we're doing it. Any foul language you hear is not approved by my mother.